So there are three ways of finding both the slope and the intercept using three different representations. In the equation, y equals mx plus b, the slope is the number that's in front of the variable. So if the equation is y equals 3x plus 2, then the slope is 3. In an equation, the way to find the slope is that it's in front of the variable. In a graph, the way to find the slope is by drawing a rise-run triangle. So the distance up or down is the rise, the distance side to side is the run, and the slope is the rise divided by the run. In a table, the way to find the slope is using subtract, subtract, and then divide. Step 1, subtract, that's the change in y. Step 2, subtract, that's the change in x. Step 3, divide. That's three different ways of finding the slope. In an equation, the slope is the number in front of the variable. In a graph, you make a triangle, and in a table, you subtract, then divide. The y-intercept is a little bit simpler. In an equation, the y-intercept is the number that is not in front of the x. So in this case, the y-intercept would be 2. In a graph, the y-intercept is where the line starts. And in a table, the y-intercept is where the value of x is equal to 0. So to summarize, to find the start of a situation, you either look for the number that's by itself, look for where the graph has a y-intercept, or look for where x is equal to 0. So let's apply those to these three problems. In the first problem, it says how many megabytes were on the drive before the transfer started. That's the start. It must be the y-intercept, 45. The next question, at what rates? That's the slope, or speed, and it's the number that's in front of the variable, which is 5. In the final question, we have to replace t with 5 seconds. That would be 5 times 5 makes 25, plus 45 to start with is equal to 70. The way to know which is the speed and which is the start, the speed or slope, is what's in front of the variable. The y-intercept, or initial or start, is the number that's alone. That's in an equation. In a graph, like Wilbur landing his plane, the start, or y-intercept, or initial value is 8,500. It's the y-intercept. So the elevation to start with, the initial elevation is 8,500. Then Wilbur flies his plane down and lands it over here at 1,700 seconds. In order to find the slope, I divide those two numbers. Divide the distance up or down in this triangle, 8,500, divided by 1,700. And when you divide those two numbers, you get 5. This particular slope is -5 because it's going down. In a graph, the way to find the speed is by making a rise-run triangle. The way to find the start is by looking at the y-intercept. In the next problem, I have a table. This wants the phi per meter. Now, per is a key word for a speed or a slope. So I'm going to use my subtract, subtract, divide method. I subtract on the right, and I get 3.9. I subtract on the left, and I get 30. 3.9 divided by 30 is 13 cents. So that was a subtract on the right, subtract on the left, and then divide. The answer is 13 cents. In a table, you find the start where x is equal to 0, and the speed by subtracting on the right, subtracting on the left, and then dividing. That's the change in y divided by the change in x. In the final problem, the first term in the sequence is -13, and in this notation, every term in the sequence after the first one is equal to the previous term plus 4 more. So if the first term in the sequence is -13, and every other term in the sequence you add 4, then the first term is -13, The second term is 4 more, so that's negative 9, and then negative 5, negative 1, and positive 3. The fifth term in this sequence is positive 3.